Hey, good evening and welcome to the 3BeerPod. It is episode number 5 of season number 5. I'm Chris. That is Tim. Timmer, welcome to it. It's the May 2-4 edition.
What's going on? Is it the long weekend coming up?
Yes.
Kind of lost track of time here, buddy.
It
Kind of
is.
lost track of where we are in the world.
It is. I'm outside here in the studio again.
I'm in the studio. This is a lot of work to get outside, buddy. I feel bad now that I see it's nice and shiny in your background there. Got the sprinkler going too.
I do. I don't know if you can see it through the slats there in the fence. We got the sprinkler going on. It's
Look
a little
at
hotter
that.
than I thought. So
Hotter than anticipated.
Yeah, regretting the decision a little bit. So welcome to it. Season 5, episode number 5. I want to say thanks again to Tim Langton, who was last week's guest. You, of course, can watch on YouTube. You can watch it back on our Facebook page or download the audio and have a listen to it wherever you get your pods. It was kind of neat to catch up with the voice of the Blue Jays at the Sky Dome, Tim Langton last week. Kind of neat to see a face from a voice that we hear, right?
Kind of weird, eh? You're like, didn't know what that guy looked like. Oh, that's what he looks like. Not he looked bad or anything. I'm just saying I didn't know what to expect. Guy pops on. Oh, that's his voice.
We're going to know what this guy looks like tonight. Bob
100%
is our guest.
Good one.
And we're pretty excited to chat with him. But we're going to get to him here in just a couple minutes. Tim, before we do that, got to get to our sponsors. Let's start with the OGs, the sponsors that have been here right from the start.
Hey, we got Chris McLeod over at Realty House. If you're looking to buy or sell, this guy is moving product right now. Still got a nice spot on for sale online right now on LaCroix Street. Check it out. Also, big shout out to Shauna over at the Health House. If you're looking to get healthy, be healthy, keep being healthy, anything healthy, the Health House, CK.com, and our old friends at the Pakistan Super League. Again, tough times over in Pakistan right now. We know they'll pull through. And as always, we just want to be friends.
We know for sure Pakistan's already with the reason they're our sponsor is because they lay claim to our video every week. We have no idea why. So we're just trying to be friends. They're probably already putting in a comment about why this should not be allowed. But thanks to them for being a sponsor. And thanks to Sons of Kent, our friends over at Sons of Kent, sonsofkent.com. That's going to lead us right into our What You Drinking Pod, and from Sons of Kent tonight. I'm actually here. Before we get to that, I wanted to. I just finished off a lug tread from Bose. I'm finishing that pack here I got a couple weeks ago. I'm drinking a juice box tonight. I'm going to get to that. That is one of my faves.
Ooh, buddy.
Over at Sons of Kent. I'll leave it there, Tim. I'll let you introduce a couple of yours, and then we'll get to the new announcement.
Sure. I had this one dropped off by a friend of the pod. This is from Town Brewery. Corey Barr dropped this one off. This is Square Wheels IPA. Never had it. Have had some stuff from Town Brewery. I believe it's in Oshawa, Whitby, Ontario. I believe that's where it's at. Yep. And it's a delicious beer. And also, I got a side launch here. I'm excited to try this one. This is the Any Day Light IPA. It's coming in light at 4%er. I think it's kind of a play on the All Day IPA that is comes out of the States sometimes, but looking forward to that. Heard great things about it.
And I didn't think you got out of bed for anything less than a 5.
You know what? If it's going to taste delicious, which I've heard good things about it, I'm excited for it. On a Tuesday, I'll take a 4%er.
Well, this is a 4%er. Do you want to reveal the new that's back?
Oh, buddy.
Sons of Kent.
Back. This is exciting.
Very white.
Live at the brewery starting tomorrow. Doug wanted us to make sure that we said that it was the beer is live, not the actual Barry White. God rest his soul.
What is this now? You're number 3 or 4 for Barry White?
It's got to be at least 3.
I asked him. He had no idea. So if he doesn't know.
He did know that 600 pounds of raspberry goes into each can. I think it's each batch. But also, big news this week. It's being released tomorrow. So Wednesday, those people tuning in on the podcast through your ear holes. It is on sale to start the long weekend. On sale from Wednesday to Monday in the retail only for $65 a case. That's a steal for Barry White. So get in there. I know that there's some people out there that have been waiting for Barry White to get back out there fresh for a new season, and get out there and support Sons of Kent. Go pick some up. It's also available at LCBO and wherever else you get your beer.
See, May 24 is like the unofficial summer kickoff. Mm-hmm. Barry White just goes right along with it now, hand in hand. So cheers. We'll get to some Barry White here, available tomorrow at Suns. Let's not waste any more time because
what I'm waiting for here.
We are pretty pumped.
Sorry.
We are pumped to pull this guy in. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bob Azumi. Bob, how you doing?
How you doing, guys?
We're doing great.
You know, I first off, I like the fact that you guys started this podcast because obviously you're beer lovers. So you made an excuse to drink beer, right? So you're actually pretending you're working and having some beers. I mean, you got to love that, you know? I mean, that's what I did with fishing. I said, how the hell can I make a living fishing? Well, I think I'll start a fishing show.
That worked out pretty well for you.
I was going to say that, Bob. I'm like, you're the guy who started this. How do you take something you love and make it like it's an empire now for you? We're not even anywhere close yet.
I tried work. It's a dirty 4-letter word. It didn't work for me. Okay. And my last job was down in your home area in Chatham at International Harvester. That was before they called it Navistar. And I made trucks. And the best thing that ever happened to me at 20 years old was after work. I worked in Rondo Provincial Park for the Ministry of Natural Resources when I was 17 and 18, or actually, 17, late 17, 18. And then I went to International Harvester and I got laid off. And when I got laid off at 20, I was getting in a lot of trouble anyway at work because I'd get hauled up on the carpet on like Monday mornings. And, okay, why'd you take Friday off? Were you partying? No, I was sort of. I was at a bass tournament, so I'd take off Fridays and go fish bass tournaments and come back. And of course, most people, if they took a Friday off, they were going, camping or whatever. I was going to compete in tournaments all over New York and Michigan and Ontario and stuff. So anyway, I'd come back, after being on the water for 3 days, and I'd get hauled up every time because, well, back then, actually, doctors would give you notes and stuff to say you were sick. But now they don't do that. Anyway, so fast forward it. 43 years later, I'm still making a living in the fishing business after I got laid off. And that was the best thing ever happened to me when they did a shutdown and a number of us got laid off. And I was like 20, just about 21 years old. And I started to do seminars. So Mercury Marine, and hence the cup, Mercury Pro Team here. That was my first sponsor. My dad was alive at the time, and he ran the first bass tournament ever in Canada when I was 15 years old. And took us to kids fishing derbies in Erie when we were just little kids. We used to win those all the time at the different age groups. And then at 15, I entered my first competitive bass tournament as opposed to like a kids derby. And that really got me hooked into this fishing in a big way. And then at 2021, when I'd heard Mercury Marine were looking for somebody to do fishing seminars at the Toronto International Boat Show for 10 days. And they tried getting this guy, Al Lindner, from the States. And Al's a living legend in Minnesota. He and his brother Ron started the In Fisherman, which is a TV radio magazine network. And they couldn't get Al. Al was booked a year in advance. So he was a Mercury guy. They couldn't get him to come up from Minnesota. So I'd heard this. So my dad and I drove up to Mississauga, visited with the marketing manager at Mercury Marine, and we went for lunch. And I told him everything I wanted from Mercury and what a great guy I was.
Yep.
And at the end of that, he said, okay, now that I've heard what you want from us, what are you going to do? What are you going to do for us? And that was my first sponsorship, was Mercury Marine. They paid me $25 a day to do 10 days at the International Boat Show to do seminars in between. I think I did, I don't know if it was 3 or 4 or 5 a day, but I did them in between this guy, McClintock, who was the world champion skier, who was sponsored by Mercury. And he was talking about skiing. Then I would go on the stage and talk about fishing. So it was, I think it was 5 a day I did for that. And then I picked up a number of other companies at that show that liked what I was doing. And I was the first guy to ever do fishing seminars in Canada. So it was new and exciting. And then after starving for 3 years, started the TV show in '83. So that's kind of the short story,
This is great because I don't even know if we've asked a question yet, Bob. Like,
This
but
is
this,
easy.
You guys
I'll
got
just pick
beers
back
to
and-
drink. You're busy.
Yeah, I'm in.
no, I had a question because I was thinking, I was like, what did you do before fishing? And I was wondering what and you gave us the whole story there.
Well, you know what? I don't, there's so much to talk about, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
I love the fact you're in my old stomping grounds down there, and Tim, do you live in Chatham as well?
Yes, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Born and raised.
Right on.
So,
And
Bob,
I think I might buy a house after hearing that.
Yes.
That fun. Yeah.
We're trying here. We're trying.
we can connect you with a pretty good realtor, half decent.
Well, let me know when you find that.
No, we have so many angles. It was crazy. So we wanted to get you on here for quite a while, and we finally got connected. And once we announced that you were coming on, my phone's been blowing up. Just the reaction across Canada and the US. Your name is so recognizable. Not that we haven't had other like we've had Chris Hadfield, an astronaut. We've had Ron McLean. Like we've had some pretty decent names, but nobody has given us the response that Bob Azumi does. It must be wild when you travel across Canada to the response you get from different people in different areas.
Well, it's funny because, and I don't take anything for granted, but I guess you'd say the branding of everybody says they recognize the voice. I don't know if my voice sounds different to me. It doesn't, but I'm used to it. But a lot of people, say, oh, the voice or the laugh or whatever, or maybe that I'm part, Asian looking. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know that I'm also Scottish. My mother is Scottish, and my grandparents came over from Japan in 1899. So the unfortunate thing is I'm Scottish from the waist up, kind of cheap, but Japanese from the waist down. Okay. Are we allowed to talk like this on a podcast?
Do whatever you want, Bob. It's wide open. It's wide open. We got a question in here. It says, ask Bob about some of those early seminars at Lakeview Marina. And he says he may guess
one in Tecumseh, Windsor there. Oh yeah, that was back, of course, when I had a full head of hair. I mean, I look like you guys. I saw one of your podcasts earlier today when I had a bite to eat at lunch, and I noticed you guys both have nice hair.
Yeah,
congratulations.
we're trying. We're trying.
Yeah, hair, and I saw that, and I go, okay, well, the solar panel here is definitely needs charging up, and I got to get some sun. It's unbelievable with this pandemic, but that's another story of just not traveling, but. Down in Windsor, I did seminars there in the early 80s, like before, I think I did a few there before I started the TV show. So we're talking like 81 maybe, or maybe 82. I was down there the first time and subsequently probably two, maybe three more times after. And they were a big Mercury dealer at the time, So, are they there? They're not there anymore, are they? No.
What? Have someone jump in on that one.
Maybe Tim asked the question. Maybe Tim Gerald can get us an answer for that. I'm not positive on that one for sure.
Yeah.
So you said you're about 20 years old. You get laid off and you become a pro fisherman. Like I've heard the story, but how did you become entering tournaments just like a lot of guys and women do? How did you get from that to being Canada's first pro angler? Like, how did you make that next step? And it's like both feet in.
These tournaments are very competitive. You're fishing like an 8 or 9 hour day. You don't get a lot of sleep, and it's long hours standing in the boat, running around fast in these, high performance bass boats. And it's awesome. To me, it's my stress release, from all the other work and businesses I'm involved in. For me, when I fish a tournament, it's away from the cameras, the microphones, anything. I'm just going looking for fish and trying to figure out the conditions of that day and putting a limit together. So I'm addicted to it. I do want to fish tournaments till I can't move anymore, till the day I die. That's what I want to do. And I don't fish enough. I fish maybe 12, 13 a year right now. If I had my druthers, I'd fish 1 or 2 a week. I love fishing them. But what happens is there was nobody doing instructional fishing seminars in those early years, nobody in Canada. So that's what I cut my teeth on. But I was always fishing tournaments while I was working at International Harvester, and even in my, mid-teens, around when, Dad started the tournament when I was 15. That really got me interested in it. And then when I was 16, 17, 18, and I think so, I won the first tournament. bass tournament in 1977, and it was one that my dad had ran, and then won another one in 79, and then won a ton of them in the 80s and 90s, and lots of bass boats, won a bunch of boats and a Chevy truck, and then finally last year I'd had a bit of a drought, and last year my son and I won the Canada Cup in Trenton on Bay of Quinte. So that was 5 decades I've won bass tournaments in so far. And I'd love to get to that 6th decade, but shoot, I'm 63. So I got 7 more years to get to 70 and then win one after that. But I don't know if anybody's ever done that. But, won probably about $1 million or more fishing bass tournaments, but probably spent about $990,000. I always tell people, if you want to make a small fortune fishing bass tournaments, start with a big one, because it's an expensive sport. It's like drag racing or a lot of these NASCAR, I shouldn't say that, but these guys are race local stock cars.
Yeah.
It's for the love of the game, but I really do love fishing them. And, a lot of guys make a living at it in the U.S., and there's a few Canadians. The Johnson boys make a living doing it, and Jeff Gustafson does. And they fish them, and they go to the States, and, they're away from their family and home for a long time, but they're doing well. But I wish I could have. That was my dream, was to always do that. But in 83, I was starving to death after 3 years of nothing but seminars and tournaments. And some tournaments, if I didn't make enough money, I'd sleep in the back of my car till at the next one, until I made some money, and then I could afford the entry fee and to actually stay in a motel at the next tournament down the road. And so it was pretty Spartan way to make a living. And so in 83 is when we decided we'd start the TV show. Now, I was just at a family picnic, happened to be talking to this older gentleman, Bob McGuigan from Guelph, and he asked what I did, and I said, "Oh, I fish for a living, but it's tough, I mean, I'm having fun." I was single at the time, early 20s, so it didn't matter. Money was never ever an objective in this, except an ends to a means to fish tournaments. And I said to him, "Bob, I want to fish tournaments for a living, but I'm starving at this point. I need to do something else. I think a TV fishing show might be something I should look at." And he goes, "Well, I got a cameraman in Toronto who shoots rock videos. He shoots Joe Cocker and all this stuff. And he shoots commercials for me for car dealers like Barry Cullen in Guelph, and Bob McGuigan had Dan Kane down in Windsor. And so Bob did a bunch of car dealers, and he did jewelry stores and stuff. So he did commercials, and that was his extent of TV production. So him and I became partners and shot the pilot. My brother Wayne came in a year later into the company and became a partner. And then we eventually bought Bob out in the late 80s, and the rest is history. So it's been a slow ride. And the funny thing is, you asked about, the notoriety earlier, Chris.
Yep.
It doesn't really turn my crank that much. After the first year, I'm at the Sportsman show in Toronto after the show aired that winter for the first time. And I couldn't believe it. People were coming up. And back then it was before really camera phones and stuff. So people would have cameras with them, which is really unusual to see somebody with a camera now at a boat show or a sports show. Everybody used their phone, and everybody would want a picture with me, and they'd want autographs. And I'd had these pictures done up, and I was at our booth, and it was just a constant lineup from start to finish in between my seminars every day at that 10-day show. And I realized the power of TV at that time. But crazy thing is, I didn't know that came with it. I was just a tournament fanatic who wanted to make a living and pay my entry fees and fish tournaments. So I didn't realize that came with the territory. And, truth be known, I just like being out in the water.
Why not?
I love being out in the water and trying to figure out what the fish are doing, and the wind blowing through my solar panel.
So Bob, you go.
I was just going to ask, what was the ratio of men to women in that line?
Well, okay, so you could get a full set of teeth if you put a room full of them together. But, there are some rednecks that do like me. I'm going to say that right now, 'cause I'm a good old boy from Blenheim, right? So I'm pretty easy going. But
Too funny.
Okay. Every now and then I get a really good looking girl that'll want an autograph or a picture with me. And I always have to make a point of taking my time and making sure everybody sees that, because it doesn't happen often. I'm going to say that it would be at those shows, because you've got a lot of guys with their girlfriends and wives. So probably 60%, 70% male, 30% female, give or take. I'll tell you a funny story. So I'm at either the boat show or sportsman show. And this is like 10 or 15 years ago. And you really, I've been doing them so long, but it had to have been 15, maybe even 20 years ago. And this girl comes up to me, and she's probably 30 years old and fairly attractive, and she comes up and says, "Hi, Bob." And I look at her and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And she says, "I just want to tell you, I used to watch your show all the time." I said, "Oh, that's nice." And then she said, "I don't watch it anymore." I said, "Oh, yeah, okay. What are you going to say?" And she said, "I divorced the bastard. My husband used to make me watch that show all the time." I laughed. I thought to myself, that was awesome. I mean, I was by myself at the time. I think I was walking between the washroom and a seminar or something, but I was just trying to burn through a crowd, and she stopped me to tell me that. And I quit giggling. It was funny. So
that's awesome.
Poor girl, that's called abuse. I'm telling you. Right.
Tim, I cut you off. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Bob, you mentioned you've been grounded here for obviously the pandemic's kind of shut things down. What's the spot that you're like, when things lift up, I got to get there and get my boat in the water, and I got to fish this spot? Hopefully people won't go steal your spot, but where do you need to get to? What's the spot you dream about getting to right now?
Right now, as we do this live, I would say it would be Lake St. Clair to go get some big bluegills, which are wonderful eating fish, and some walleyes. I would love to get down there and get those fish because, somebody said to me, I don't know, probably a month or two ago, I happened to be in town. I ran into an old friend I hadn't seen. He says, "Boy, you've put a few pounds on since this pandemic." I said, no, I was fat before COVID. I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, I love eating fish, and I haven't eaten a lot of fresh fish. A friend of my son just gave him a package of frozen perch from Lake Simcoe a few weeks ago, and that was the only fish I've had in a while. I did have some trout burgers from this little fish farm that's going to be soon pretty big. My brother and another guy are partners in this trout farming business. They're going to take it hopefully worldwide, called Azumi Aquaculture, and they're raising rainbow trout. So I did have some trout burgers the other day. Very interesting, very good on the barbecue. And they were frozen, but had been just made and frozen and vacuum packed. So, and they just got into Good Food, and Gordon Food Services are distributing them, and a bunch of restaurants up this way. So it's pretty exciting. But yeah, so there's a million things. As you'll notice, guys, my head, there's like a ping pong ball going off in here, and it's all over the map. That's like every day of my life. There's lots of things going on. Yeah, lots of fun stuff.
We got a couple questions. Let's see if we get a couple. Doug says, "If I was fishing for beer, what's the best lure? A spinner or just a hook?"
Well, I think just a hook, because you want to try to snag it as opposed to entice it. We're talking about, if you're fishing for a beer, you want to try to hook it. So you don't want any dressing like a soft plastic or crankbait. Well, maybe a crankbait's got two treble hooks. That might work, because you might just snag that, little pull tab on there.
Yeah, pull it on up. Here's another one. What would you do differently if you could change anything in Canada's tournament scene?
Well, I would have more big money tournaments, higher entry fee. The unfortunate part is that the higher the entry fee, the fewer people might want to enter, because now it becomes a pretty big investment. But I'd like to see bigger entry fee, bigger purses. And that's really the only way the purses will get bigger. In the early years, being a beer podcast here, the biggest sponsor of tournaments in the heyday was OV beer. That was back in the 80s.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was going to pull out an OV today.
Oh, did you?
I was going to pull out an OV today because I was like, what makes fishing? It's OV, but I went with the sponsors instead.
Well, and that actually leads me into a few things because I'm excited to be working with these guys who you might recognize that logo.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
Sons of Ken, I like that. Yeah, I was gonna wear that, but it's a full back. It was better when it was a little cooler out. I got a mesh on tonight, but so OV was a big sponsor. They were spending a ton of money in fishing in the 80s, and Gary Boyd was the marketing manager at the time. And back then, and you think about it now, late 80s, the tournaments were huge. Like in 95 in that circuit, I think it changed to the Chevy circuit at that point. But, like for the Classic, I won one year a Chevy truck and a fully rigged Ranger bass boat with a 150 Mercury on it. And in the Canadian Opens, I won that one 94, 95, and 96. And that was a fully rigged Ranger boat. And the prizes were quite substantial in those years. And even the qualifying tournaments were $10,000 cash for first place. And they paid back a number of places, just like golf tournaments. So the money was really good. And then what happened is, a lot of those big beer companies put their money into, young kids. And, I'm not going to say it don't take this verbatim, but like sex, drugs, and rock and roll, they wanted that young crowd. They didn't want people that fished middle age or older who were huge beer consumers. And so they shifted their focus, and Molson bought Carling O'Keefe. Mm-hmm. And so that happened in the 90s. And then you didn't see much beer in fishing until now. And this is one of the most exciting things for me, being born and raised in southwestern Ontario, grew up in Blenheim, born in Chatham, and at the General Hospital. And when Tim Copeland had started talking to my brother from Sons of Kent about, hey, let's do an Azumi beer, let's do a promotion together. And they've been, working this out. And I believe it comes out, I made a note of it. It comes out in June, sometime in June. Actually, I didn't put the date down here, but it's coming out in June.
Well, Doug's watching. Maybe he can fill us in. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's big tackle box, the case. And it's the Flywheel Blonde Lager, which I know you guys are familiar with. And
very much so.
Yeah, the viewers or listeners out there, it's a wonderful tasting beer. It's easy to drink. It's smooth. It's just nice. And everybody, so Wayne had some samples, my brother, okay?
Yep.
Wayne, you talk, so you know what my brother's favorite drink is, right?
What's that?
Whatever you're serving. Okay? It doesn't matter. Okay, it could be rum, rye, it could be scotch. Doesn't matter. He's in. Okay, but he gave me some, right, but not a lot. I mean, it was almost like he was hoarding whatever he got from Tim. And I got like a couple of cans, like maybe I think I got a 12-pack or something. But anyway, everybody that had it loved it, including myself. And I'm proud to be associated with a beer that is made in Kent County by guys from down in my old area, and now I'm gonna be associated with them. So I'm pretty excited. That was neat to have that put together by my brother and Tim, and I can't wait to get down and see the brewery. I looked at it online.
That's awesome.
Yeah, neat. And have you guys eaten there before?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Bob, come on.
Spend some time there.
Yeah, we don't get this by not visiting there. I'm glad you brought it up, because we didn't know how much we were allowed to say about it. But you are going to be working with Sons of Kent for the tackle box, and we're going to certainly talk more about it when it comes out. But kind of neat that we've got like a Kent County connection coming back together. That'll be really neat. Are you allowed to drink on the boat during a tournament? Are you allowed to be drinking beers?
No. Yeah, our boats don't have like restrooms or anything on them. I mean, they're like 20-foot high performance bass boats with 250s. Or this year I'm running one with a 300 on it. But No, and guys have a few beers, afterwards or at the hotel when they're rigging up and stuff. But no, it's no drugs or alcohol in these tournaments. No performance enhancing goods. Okay.
Is there such a thing as a performance enhancing drug in fishing?
I don't think so, but it's
Yeah.
it's an adrenaline rush. I mean, you wouldn't believe the highs and lows in these bass tournaments. Like you can go from being, the down and out, life is not good. You're not catching a lot of fish. You catch all of a sudden, you get into a school of big fish, and boom, boom, boom. You put a 3 or 4 or a good limit in the live well, and all of a sudden you went from a hero to a zero in 10 minutes, and all of a sudden life is good. And we've had tournaments where the last 5 minutes of the tournament, we catch a big fish. Well, actually, we won a bass boat down on Rondo Bay at the Swaba Classic back in the early 90s, John Vanderveer and I. And literally, we're down at the foot in Rondo Park in the park itself, and I'd flipped under a boat dock, and I had a hit, and I missed this bass. My partner, John Vanderveer, skipped a bait under there, caught it. As he caught it, put it in the boat, I started the boat up and started to idle out because we had to run all the way to Erie O. And I believe that's either 7 or 9 miles, but we got back with 30 seconds to spare without getting penalized. And we won the tournament, the 2-day tournament, won a bass boat. And that's an adrenaline rush, I mean, you're running wide open 60 mile an hour, 65 mile an hour back to the weigh-in, and your fingers are crossed that you got some good fish in the well, and then you find out you'll win the damn thing. So it's pretty exciting. That's why I like tournament fishing, is those moments. The other moments really suck, but it is.
How many boats? You've just dropped a couple boats. How many boats or trucks have you won?
Oh, just one truck, seven bass boats. Yeah, the St. Lawrence River has been good to me. I won like 5 Rangers down there. Won one in New York and 4 in Kingston. Actually, 4 in 3 years. That was a good 3-year run, mid 90s. One, 3 back-to-back Canadian Opens, and then the Classic, the middle year right in between those. And the funny thing is you probably would laugh because you think a fishing tournament, but in that era, I was, probably 20 pounds heavier going into those 3 years. And I said, I got to get in shape, because if you're in shape mentally and physically, you do better, you make better decisions on the water. So I got on my bike. I had a road bike, one of these fancy road bikes, and I got riding it, and I'd get up like at daybreak before, during pre-fish days when I was scouting, and I'd go for a bike ride before I'd even have breakfast or a shower. And then I'd come back to the hotel and hook up the boat and blast out and fish till dark. And that'd be prior to the tournaments. I'd do that for a number of days. So I got down to like 169 or 168 weight-wise, which is a lot friggin' lighter than I am now. And you know what? That was, a 3-year period where I won a lot of tournaments, and it was good. And I do think that really helped. It helped on my stamina. I could stay out on the water from sun up to sundown practicing every day. And then the tournament, I wouldn't feel tired, any at all. And then after winning the Classic and the Canadian Open and the Angler of the Year all in 1995, I just slacked off. After that, I said, what else can you win in Canada? Those were the 3 biggest titles in the pro bass scene in Canada. So I just got fat again, and that's what it's it's the truth. It's like you gotta be there. So I don't know, down the road I might try that again, shed about 20 or 30 pounds and get back in the, like, just even doing this deal tonight, I had to adjust this computer, right? If it was shooting up, it shows like I got more chins than a Chinese phone back there, right? Gotta get that angle proper.
That's great.
I'm gonna get in trouble. I know it.
Oh, you'll be good. You'll be good. I wanted to show you this pic. I want to get your thoughts on this. So this was a story about, it might have been a month ago now, but they pulled a sturgeon out of the Detroit River. Have you seen this sturgeon here? This picture here?
Yes, I did.
That's about a 6 foot, I think they said 100 pound. It's probably 100 years old. Like, have you ever reeled anything in that big?
Oops, I lost you there for a second.
There you are. Right.
Yeah, I have, and actually, I'm looking at that picture, and I saw that online, and I'm wondering it. See, when I look at that boat, I'm not so sure if that, like, I'm not 100% sure. It may have been caught in the Detroit River because there are big sturgeon there, but it
Yep.
also looks like one of those BC boats, you know, an aluminum
Ah.
custom welded boat. So it could be Fraser River, and it could be one of those little deceiving things we see on the internet that might not be 100% true. You know, I don't know, but I mean, those fish are regularly caught in the Fraser River, where my niece's husband guides. He's got a business called Sturgeon Slayers, and he's a former AHL player, played professional hockey, and got a few concussions, and then became a sturgeon guide many years ago. And Kevin catches giants. So
Really?
we fished a sturgeon tournament on the Fraser River and filmed it. I don't know. I'm going to guess maybe 20 years ago. And first prize of $75,000. And I got one fish on that was, you know, probably about, I'm going to guess it was, you know, 150 pounds, whatever. It was giant. And I'm fighting. And the thing comes up like 15 feet from the boat and does this and jumps, and their big sort of vacuum mouth extends out like a sucker. And all of a sudden we see the hook and the weight go this way and the fish go this way. And, you know, it's all caught on camera. We would have walked away with the $75,000 first prize. So that was pretty funny. It was good to catch it up. It made a better story for the TV show than winning the tournament, I think. But anyway, yeah. So they are big, and I've seen them jump in the Detroit River. There's some big ones. I don't think they rival the ones in, you know, the Fraser River, which are true dinosaur-like fish. But you know, I wonder, because when I first saw that picture, I thought, you know, but I hope somebody watches this and corrects me, because you know what, I've been wrong.
Apparently, it was a research vessel, is what we're hearing from an internet expert. So we'll take their word for it. Thanks for jumping in there, Tim. What else you got there for Bob?
The one that got away, the one that you just described. But what's the one that you're like, when you're thinking about fishing, it's the story that you want to tell? The fish that you know, when you wake up in the morning, you're like, yeah, I caught that sucker. What's that story, Bob?
You know, the problem is that crap happens every year. It's right. like you know, to us, a bad day fishing, you know, like there are some days you go out and you catch 10 or 12 fish, and we kind of think that's sort of a mediocre day at best, and sometimes call it a bad day, you know, depending on where we are and what we're fishing for. So our expectations are pretty high. Like if we don't have success out there, you know, we're not getting the job done. And I know that, you know, hey, I'm going to be honest, we have bad days. I mean, those are the shows you never see. We don't. Hey, yeah, great day. Hey. I can't imagine
that makes me feel better.
No friggin' fish, but it would be funny. I always wanted to do a show with no fish.
You should do. We'll go with you. We'll go with you on that charter. We catch nothing.
Talking at the end of the show. Thanks everybody for staying tuned in. But we fished in Montauk, you know, where they shot the movie Jaws. We did a shark tournament there, the biggest one on in the U.S. actually, that shark tournament, and we got a thresher shark. Now, the tail is 7 feet long, and the shark is 7 feet long, and it took about 3 hours of fighting of this fish.
Oh.
And I realized how out of shape I was fighting that fish. And then I'd give it over to my brother, who's 9 years older than me, but he, you know, cuts firewood and you know, stays in shape and watches what he eats, although he does like to, you know, have free drinks. But he's fit, okay? You know, he's probably the same weight he's been for 40, 50 years. So anyway, he's fighting it, and then the captain's fighting it, and then John Ward from Cuda Tools is fighting it, and you know, we're taking turns, and we get this fish in at 300 and some odd pounds. We figure we're going to win probably with Calcuttas and everything. We're thinking 150, 200, 300,000. We're going to win US.
Nice.
Because that's usually a fish like that would win this big tournament in Montauk, where the sharks are. And all between after that and before that, the blue sharks are all over the boat. I mean, they're swimming. You see them because we got chum bags out, right? And the chum's attracting them. But the blues, they don't get as big as the thrashers or that. So we're finally get it in. We run back and it's like rough out there, and the boat starts acting up, and one of the engines goes out. But we finally do get in. And we get in on time for that day. And it was a multi-day tournament. It was, I think, 2 or 3 day tournament. And at the end of the tournament, when it was all said and done, we were 3rd in the tournament. But the way it all worked, we won like $1,500. That didn't even pay for the fuel for the boat, for the 2 days. Instead of winning like 200,000 or 300,000 or whatever, we knew, like the guys that won, I think they won like 300 some odd thousand.
Really?
Yeah. And so that was pretty big, but you know what? It is what it is. I mean, and they only won by like their thresher. There was, I think 3 sharks that were over 300 pounds, if I remember correctly, ours, and then 2 others. And they were all very close, but, 10, 20 pounds, 30 pounds apart type of thing. Not much, not when you're talking 300 pounds, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
But lots of fun, I'll tell you. So the memories are, I mean, Great Barrier Reef, fishing for, giant marlin out there. We go out and I catch a 300 pounder and a 250, and after we're out there for a few days, we're on our way to Tasmania to go fish brown trout, fly fishing. The captain apologized to me, and he says, "I'm sorry, Bob, that your fishing wasn't that good and you caught rats." And I said, "Rats?" At the time, those were the biggest fish of my life. They wanted us to get a grander, which is like a 1,000 pounder. And we didn't get a grander, but that's where they catch them, off the Great Barrier Reef. But that was an adventure. And then, going many times into Brazil to fish peacock bass and paella, which have the big fangs, that come up. And Venezuela, we caught a lot of paella and peacocks. And fishing a bass tournament in Spain was pretty monumental. And I don't know, it goes on and on. See, this pandemic has kind of cramped my style. So I've cut back my traveling even before COVID to about 200, 230 days, give or take, a year. But I average for over 30 years about 300 days a year on the road. Fishing tournaments, doing the shows, doing promotional work, doing charity work, appearances, whatever. So I've cut back a little bit, but now with this COVID stuff, I've cut back it's just shutting the gate down and that. And I haven't been fishing a lot, soon to be. But with this lockdown, it's really hard because the rules are kind of, all these poor golfers. I love to golf too, but I can't believe the golf courses are still closed. And I know that there's a lot of upset people over that. And some of the boat ramps are closed, some are open. So it's kind of an iffy thing, and I don't know. My son, who lives with us here in the same household, I mean, him and I can go fishing, I think, in the same household, as long as we're not traveling with other people out of other households and that, and in the boat with them. So I don't know. We might have to break loose pretty soon.
It's coming. Bob, we appreciate this so much, and I know we could talk for a while, but we'll have to get you on again at some point, maybe a future season coming up. We look forward to hearing more about this tackle box with Sons of Kent, and we'll talk about it a little closer. It's end of June when that comes out, and hopefully we get to meet, maybe share a beer or two at Sons of Kent when you make your way down.
Hey, that sounds good. I'll be sure to bring Wayne. I mean, he doesn't like to miss one. That is. And Chris, Tim, pleasure seeing you guys this evening, and thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Bob, this is awesome. Thanks a ton. Have a good one. Bob Azumi. That is awesome. Really, really cool to talk to Bob Azumi here tonight. And I didn't know if he was going to bring up that tackle box, which again, it's out there now, but a lot more detail and information coming from our
Yeah,
friends
I'm glad that
over at
Bob brought
Sons
it
of
up,
Ken.
and it wasn't me. And then I get in trouble for it. Doug's listening. It would have been
Yeah.
me, and then he gets pissed. It's Bob. You can be pissed at Bob now. Cloudy, we've had some awesome guests on.
Yes.
But again, when he mentioned his voice, it's one of those things. Again, you hear the voice come through. Like, God damn, that's Bob Azumi coming through here. Kind of starstruck today when I heard him coming through. That's pretty awesome.
When I first started in radio, one of my jobs was to download not download, we didn't have computers then, was the Bob Azumi Real Fishing Show for radio. And I would sit there. We had they looked like 8 tracks. They're called carts. And I would sit there and you'd have to time it and you'd record it and you'd put it in the cart. And the cart was like the Thursday edition with this. And then the Friday. And that was one of my first jobs.
That's awesome.
That's how we did
Yeah,
that.
that's pretty cool. He's really awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I hope we can get down this way. Things will clear up. We'll see him at Sons of Kent. That'd be really cool.
Real cool. Thanks again to Sons of Kent, our sponsor here tonight. Don't forget that Barry White is in stores, or not in stores, at the retail tomorrow at Sons of Kent. What was it for a case, Tim?
$65. That's a steal. Yeah, that's going to be flying out, folks. Get there. Get yourself some Barry White. I'm sure they got lots, but I checked the weather for this weekend, Cloudy.
Oh, Woo. Baby.
Buddy.
Buddy.
We're sitting at home by yourself in the sun. You can't beat having some Barry White with you. I'll tell you that for free.
Oh, that is it. That is it. Hey, last weekend, and I didn't realize this, was barbecue day. You know how every single day of the year is something, right? Is barbecue something. So last weekend was barbecue day, and I got to pull up this tweet from MP Tony Clement. You've heard that name before.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
I think Muskoka, Perry Sound. I'm not positive, but
that's where he's at.
So, he's a politician. He's got to connect with the people. So it's barbecue day.
He's barbecuing. What's he barbecuing?
I'll have a look here. This is his post.
Wow.
So look at the fish. First of all, look, how clean is that barbecue?
Okay. All right. Tony Clement's never used that. That's brand new.
I don't even think it's barbecue. On. Is it even on? It's not
Definitely not on. Wait a second. Is that just a full tomato?
That's a full tomato. A yellow
pepper cut in half.
Yep.
Peaches? Are those
peaches? I've never tried it. I'm not going to say it's a bad idea, but I've never tried it.
Is that a whole onion?
That looks like a half a red onion.
Okay. All right. But so Tony's never used the barbecue before.
The Q is not on. So he's, connecting with his constituents on National Barbecue Day.
Wow.
So the comment section, obviously.
Oh, I bet you it was amazing.
Had some fun with that. So, the first guy says, looks like you just left your groceries on the barbecue. And that's just a couple I pulled off there. But man,
oh, man. That's amazing.
Look at that.
Yeah, you got some frozen chunks of fish. We should have showed Bob that fish. Maybe he could have helped us identify what the chunks of fish are on the grill. That's phenomenal. Well done.
So funny. Yeah,
thanks for connecting with your people.
JT says the barbecue isn't lit. Yep.
Yeah, that's not lit. That makes it difficult to barbecue. I don't know a lot about barbecuing. I know it must be lit. Barbecue peaches?
Yeah.
Friend of the pod, Corey Barr, says barbecue peaches. It's not even peach season.
I love pineapple. Pineapple on the barbecue with a little bit of cinnamon. Oh, a little bit of cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
Yes. Really? Give it a shot. I'll try peaches. I'll give it a shot, but there you go. Very good. Hey, we should mention a little quick Beer Buzz action here tonight. With the long May 2-4 weekend, 75 beer stores will be open across the province. 75 beer stores. So not all of them, but 75 of them will open. The LCBOs will be closed, though, for Victoria Day. So keep that in mind when you're trying to stock up. Some of those, those smaller outlets that, those little the little beer store LCBO outlets, they may be open, but for the most part, they will be closed. And I did have something else. Did you have something there, Tim?
No, I was just going to say I'm going to try to empty my fridge this weekend.
Oh, is that a challenge? Is that you?
Yeah, it's going to be a nice weekend. I got a lot of beer in there, buddy. I don't need to go, but Barry White's out. I'm not going to lie. Barry White is a staple in the keg fridge for the summertime.
Oh, yeah.
So I gotta get rid of the other beer in the fridge to justify getting a keg of Barry White. But Barry White's gonna be on tap here hopefully soon. We'll talk to our friends at Sons of Kent. See if we can make that happen.
How about this story from a pub in Britain? They've been locked up for a year now, and they're just starting to come out of the lockdown. So here, I'll just show you the headline here. I don't know if you can see that. Pub sells single pint of beer for $1,000 for the first drink poured. So somebody bid in an auction, and the money went to a charity to have that first beer since they reopened. I think this is a cool idea. We're going to be out of this lockdown at some point. It might be 2022, but whenever that is,
I love that idea. That's a great idea.
We could auction off the first pour of the beer.
I'll bid on that.
Here's another headline. So this is the best production we have so far. There you go. Brits urged to drink 124 pints each day to help struggling pubs get back on their feet. So it's a story about how pubs, obviously in the UK, reopening again, but they are like, hey guys, we need to step it up to help these places. So if everybody can drink 124 pints or 122 glasses of wine, that'll help.
At once? In one sitting? That's aggressive. I thought my beer wall was getting full behind me, but 124, that's extremely aggressive.
I was gonna save this next story. It's a good one, but we need more time. We'll talk about it next week. We have to get a recap, Tim, from last week's story about the Houston Tiger. Remember the Tiger?
Yes, go for it. Do you have the video?
I don't have the video.
I was like, oh shit! I was leaning in. I was ready to watch the video. I was like, all right, I'm ready for the video now. No, never mind.
Backtrack. There was a tiger in a neighborhood in Houston.
Right.
A off-duty police officer is trying to control the situation when the owner opens the front door and goes, "You get back in here," and grabs the tiger, pulls it in the house, eventually takes the tiger in his Jeep Grand Cherokee and boots ass. He's gone. They discover 2 monkeys in the house as well. They find the guy who's wanted for murder, and they lost the tiger.
Right.
Tiger has been located.
Really?
Tiger has been located. Yeah.
Has the guy been located?
Yeah, he was caught. They caught him.
Oh, he was caught. The tiger was not caught. The monkeys were an addition. That was a bonus to it. The tiger has now been caught. What do you do with a caught tiger?
A 600-pound tiger. Still had its claws. Yeah. That's a big one.
Its claws.
Yep.
Don't know why you wouldn't. If I'm gonna have a tiger, I'm gonna keep the claws. Makes sense, doesn't it?
That's all I got, Timmer.
Oh, buddy.
That's all I got this week.
You know what? How can we arrange some sort of perch dinner? Have a couple of flywheel out of the tackle box with Baba Zumi. Doesn't that sound like a good night? Let's auction that off to ourselves.
We need to make that happen. We need to make that happen.
Let me write that down before I forget.
Yeah, get a marketing team on it, and we'll pull that one together. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Write that down. Tim had a good idea. Dear diary, Tim had a good. Dear diary, Tim had a good idea today.
May
also
18th.
Like to thank our sponsors, Chris McLeod. Buying and selling. Talk to Chris McLeod. Give him a shout. Shauna over at the Health House, making people healthy every single day. And our friends at the Pakistan Super League. We just want to be friends. And, of course, our friends over at Sons of Kent. Big news with Barry White being released tomorrow. And it's on sale for $65 a case. That's a steal. Go get yourself some freshy Barry Whites. Kick back outside in this beautiful weather that we have coming up on this long weekend. And thanks again to Baba Zumi.
Yeah, and a collaboration coming with Sons of Kent.
Oh, that's exciting. I'm excited for everybody on that one.
Yeah. Very cool. We've got some good stuff coming next week on the pod. Again, we are buzzing for season 5. We are buzzing. We got some good stuff to wrap up this part and get us into the summer. Thanks to Baba Zumi. Thanks to Sons of Kent. Thanks to our sponsors. Timmer, cheers. Till next time, buddy.